everybody. My name is Kwali Kumara. We're here in the Elemental Healing Temple, and I'm joined here by my two serpents, Naga and Nakkal. And today we are going to be speaking to one of my favorite humans. I've not known him very long. He was delivered to us on a beautiful platter by the wonderful Rach Cox, who, as you know, is a really good friend of mine and is one of this person's best friends as well. So we're in fantastic company. He comes highly recommended. He actually stepped in for the Elemental Healing Temple launch party, which most of you came to on the 4th of July. And it was a really beautiful thing that he did, because we had Dirish suddenly not be able to make it. And Rach said, I know the perfect person that's going to deliver water in the most exquisite way. So that was the first time that we properly met, was when he came to host a ceremony for us in the Elemental Healing Temple. And we were all completely blown away. And many of you were texting me during the ceremony to say, who is this wonderful being? I think you got nicknamed Sexy Tea Man by a lot of the Elemental Temple crew. So you got AKA now. So yeah, they were super blown away with you and with your offering. And so I thought it'd just be a really nice idea to get together and just really see if we can open up a little bit more about who you are, because I'm intrigued, and I know they're super intrigued to learn more about your gorgeous self and all of the wonderful things that you do and the beautiful healing plants that you work with. And so I know you're not a huge fan of my babies, and that makes you an even more incredible human being. The fact that you agreed to come to do the ceremony for us, knowing that I have a house temple full of snakes, which are not your favorite creatures. And it was really so sweet of you to offer to do that, because obviously we were fundraising for the snakes. So for you to come and offer your services to the temple for the snakes, I just thought was really beautiful and almost way beyond the call of duty, because you know, these little beauties, obviously they bring up a lot of stuff in people. So it'll be interesting later if you want to share how that made you feel. But first, before we get going into the interview, I just want to say that I chose this piece of artwork for you. So I've sort of got a feature of my art here that I like to feature different pieces of art that my beautiful soul sister Pachette has done. She's one of my favorite artists. And this is called Sanity, because there's a beautiful, and got the gorgeous goddess, which we know you worship, and we've also got this lovely paint palette down here, which is actually, if you touch it, it's oils that have hardened, so they like 3D, they stand out off of the page. And I just thought, you're such a colourful being and so energetic and so full of life and love and vigour and energy, that this was the painting that I thought would be really appropriate. And of course, our God here with the teacup balancing on his head, I thought was so in tune with your energy and what you're about. So really, I'm going to pass it over to you now to introduce yourself, because usually I know the individual super well, but I can only go on what we've experienced in the beautiful ceremony for the Elemental Healing Temple. And personally, I found it absolutely amazing. I found it super deep. I found it very tantric, the work that you do. Like making a tea ceremony tantric was just so intriguing for me. And it was interesting because we all have this love affair with tea, especially us Brits. And even my friend Pete, who's the wonderful producer, that when he heard that we had a tea ceremony without him, he was devastated, because he's absolute tea fanatic, and he was like, I can't believe you had a tea ceremony without me. I was like, well, we'll make sure we do it again, and then we'll make sure we send you the video. So really, I want you to, if it's cool, for just to open up your beautiful being to us and just give us a little bit of a download about who you are and what it is that you do, because you speak really well about your amazing contribution to this planet. And really, this platform is all about introducing the world to beautiful healers and teachers that are perhaps really slightly different to what people will expect to see in the normal kind of healing landscape. And I think you offer something very unique. I've never met anyone that does what you do, so it'd be great to hear from your point of view what it is that you do.
All right. Well, I'm really happy that you enjoyed the ceremony. You know, I moved over to the States, to Los Angeles, a few years ago, quite a few years ago now. And it's interesting, it's really interesting hearing you say what you say about the ceremonial experience and about my energy and about what your perception, your experience of me as a human and that healing experience was. And that's interesting to me because I remember being in the States and there is a guy called Jay, and he's one of the Jing Slingers, a really beautiful human. And at that point when I got over there, I wasn't really sure what was going on, as in I'd kind of fallen into this tea scene. I was living with doctors of Chinese medicine, learning about the herbs, about tea itself, about the medicinal mushrooms. I'd found myself in this world of these events where I'm listening to these people speaking and I'm thinking, there's something really magical happening right here. And I remember because Jay was one of the most grounded people that I know. And at that time, I was on a kind of more, I guess, in the water, but I'm looking up, kind of the airy, kind of fiery world. And I was trying to grasp what was happening. And he said something to me that I was probably 29 at the time, maybe 30, so a couple of years ago. And I said, what's going on here? What's going on? What's happening? And he just said it really simply and succinct. And he said to me, Rich, you're a warrior of light. And he said that, and I'd never heard anything like that before. At that time, I was in this personal training mode. I was writing about diet and health and fitness, and it was very much on the physical plane. And when he said that to me, I just went, well, I didn't do anything. I was just like, I just had this sensation about my body, about my being. I was like, those words make sense, like feeling-wise. I don't know what they quite mean, but it makes sense. And then like hearing you say that now is like, I'm just doing what I'm doing. Like I love tea. I love tea. And I love sitting and being, and I've got well here I actually have a really special hot chocolate with reishi in it, which I'll talk about in a little while. But so I got to the States and I'd had an experience with tea, and I'm going to tell you about that again in a minute because it was absolutely, the leaf spoke to my being. But I got there, and I remember going onto Twitter, and the tweets will still be there, and I wrote, where's the good #tea in LA? Because that's where I'd moved to. And nothing happened, nothing came back. A few days later, I tweeted it again. I'm looking for some really good #tea in California. And you know how these kind of things work? It's like I was in the vibrational space of, I just want really good tea. Like I don't want bad tea, I don't want non-organic tea, I want really good, organic, clean, high vibe tea. And that's what I thought I wanted. In my mind, I was very much still on kind of the physical world of I want a really clean physical tea beverage. And I was looking for physical sensations like clean antioxidants, a really nice, beautiful light green tea. And a couple of things happened. One was after a number of weeks that went by, I kind of put it out there and forgot completely that I was searching for tea. I was introduced to someone whose daughter needed some support with her exercise and fitness. And I'd done my personal training qualification out there. And I was looking for clients and looking just to figure out what was going on in the world there. And so I just offered to do some training sessions for free and support. That led to, hey, Rich, you might like to meet Balin, this person and this person. They do these awesome tea ceremonies. I think it's up your street. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And that little, I remember that first ceremony so beautifully of how we just sat there, like people often will always remember their first ceremony, I think. And then it was just like, oh wow. I thought as I got there and as I was in the physical fitness world that I needed to be physically healthy and control what I was eating and support my physical being through nutrition. And that moment, as I sat and held the bowl and listened to the words, drank this beautiful beverage, and had the energy and the feelings move through my body as we sat there in stillness and just connected in the group sometimes without words. And then as there were more and more ceremonies, we'd sit there for perhaps 7 hours sometimes, just drinking tea, sometimes in silence, sometimes with some tea wisdom being shared. And then from there, I'm like suddenly exposed to this world of traditional Chinese medicine. And again, I'll be coming from this physical world of like, got to train, and I still enjoy training, got to take care of the physical body. Well, traditional Chinese medicine is all about balance, about flow within the physical body, about qi, about energy, about movement. And then that led me into a bit of Kundalini, into some intense weekend experience, and then little bits of practice afterwards. And like, oh wow! So if it's not about my muscles and my physical body, it's not just about the food I stuff in, and there's these ceremonies about tea. Oh my God, sexual energy. Well, I just thought that was about having sex and enjoying pleasure. It's not about that. It's not just about that. and then there was a big moment. A big learning for me was, because I was at that time so focused on the physical experience of life, I was on the energy, the go, the yang, the push, the drive. I'd neglected my yin, my calm, my earth, for me that was the thing that I'd neglected. And so sitting still in a ceremony, feeling the feelings that came up, being with other humans and being able to look at them and feel them without words, getting into the energy world of human experience. Like that was it completely transformed. Sorry, I missed you there. Go on.
Game changer, I was going to say.
Game changer. Yeah. And then have you heard of Vipassana?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Have you experienced?
I haven't. No, I've never graced myself with the gift of giving myself 10 days off of my schedule of my teaching, because I've taught for like best part of 11 years now, and I've always felt like that I just have to be there for my students, you know. So I've rarely take a holiday. Yeah, and that's the only reason I haven't done it. But it strikes me as an amazing practice, even if you just do a day of Vipassana in your own silent retreat at home. It's powerful, isn't it? So I can imagine. You've done it, I take it.
Yeah, I did a 10-day, and I've done, I think, 2 or 3 4 days afterwards. And then I'm just going to move this thing a little bit. Sorry, it's getting hot. Excuse the bump there. So and then practicing the meditation afterwards. Not every day and every morning, every night, but there are periods of time where I'll do every day, and there are periods of times where I completely leave it. I remember going into the first 10 days and I was petrified. I was shaking, my heart was racing. It was like, at that time I'd kind of been exposed to ceremony, I'd been exposed to, let's go with that for a minute, ceremony and qi and energy, but I was still very much experiencing life on the physical. And the thought of like completely disappearing just to be with myself for 10 days, although there's 100 people in the room, man, like, if anyone out there has ever been tempted by any kind of silent retreat, any kind, whatever it is for you, whatever you want to experience in that way, like it is a gift. It was tough. Day 5 in the morning, I cried. I walked into the breakfast room at whatever it was, like 6:30 in the morning after the 4:15 meditation, and I was like, oh, I feel something's moving. And then I got my breakfast, and then I just left it and walked out, and I cried continuously for 20 minutes. Like there was no option. It was like a pure purging of whatever it was, pain. It was, I think for me, that cry, that moment was pain. It was a purging of both painful experiences that I'd been through, and then also taking responsibility for, specifically, it was my emotions in relationships of jealousy that caused pain for others. And I was crying about that. There was all kinds of things, but I remember the two main contents. Well, that was one of the main contents, actually, was my infliction of jealousy on partners or past partners, and any pain that I'd caused out there. And it was just this relief, this release, this sorrow, but then also at the end, this deep happiness.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's really beautiful. That reminds me of, like, obviously in the Kundalini teaching realm that I'm in, we always know we've hit the spot when the student cries, because it's the soul being kissed, really. It's that recognition that something has been released. And I love that you got that through Vipassana, because, like, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, I didn't expect to, like, burst into tears in your class, or, like, I felt really embarrassed. It was like, absolutely not. That's exactly what's meant to happen. And when you do, we celebrate it, you know. And then sometimes it happens like a day or two after, which is like what you're experiencing. It just sort of kicks in, and then you just have there, and you don't even need to understand it as well. It just releases from you that which needed to be let go of. So it's really, was that the first time you sat that happened, or was that one?
Yeah, the first time on day 5 it was. So
yeah, amazing.
But yeah,
what I noticed from what you were saying as well, what it reminded me of, is that when you sat in those tea ceremonies, that it was super accessible for you as well, because obviously tea has been a part of many ancient cultures, not just our own, but, you know, the Mayans and you know, the Aztecs, all of the ancient cultures, their tea, whether it be a psychedelic brew or a more organic brew that doesn't give you a psychoactive experience, it was about sitting in circle and drinking together. And what you're saying about just the act of sitting with each other's souls being so absolutely healing. And, you know, even though in a regular tea ceremony you're not going on a psychedelic journey like you would with ayahuasca or a mushroom brew, for instance, but you are in that same energy of community and space holding for each other. And for me, I think that's what's really missing in the world, and that's why I want to create the Elemental Healing Temple, so that all the modalities can come together and be welcome under the same roof, because you know, it's the same path that we're all on. We've just got these beautiful different expressions of that path, and that's what I love about when I hear you speak about the tea ceremony. It reminds me of people who speak about the ayahuasca ceremony, and you know, in the same but different way, you know. But with your ceremony, it's more accessible, because not everybody wants to sit with plant medicine, because obviously it's very, very confrontational. But your ceremonies, as I understand, are accessible to all, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's tea. It's not a psychoactive plant. It's traditionally medicine. The different leaves have different effects in the body. So depending on the group, depending on the season, the climate, I'll serve a different tea. And I often won't decide. I'll have like an idea of what I'm going to serve, but until I'm sat there with the humans, I won't know which one I'm going to actually serve. I'll have a few in mind. And then it's such a beautiful, calming experience. It's safe, it's stillness, it's people together, more often than not sat on the floor, and I'm calming and clearing my energy as I serve this beautiful. I'm kind of doing this because it's often in the semicircle, just serving it out to people. There's moments of story about tea and leaf, and there's moments of silence. And then often when we did it was obviously on the camera. In the actual live ceremonies, there's often times to share as well, so we can all hear and
be seen, be heard and be seen.
Say that again, sorry.
Be heard and be seen, like like you would with a talking stick. If you were in a shamanic ceremony or plant medicine ceremony, everyone is heard and seen, and their intentions. Would you set an intention, or do you hold the intention for the group? I
normally go in with a general intention of love and calmness. And then I think like sometimes I do I do the corporate ones. Sometimes I'm given a theme to take in, and then within that I'll perhaps have that in mind. But generally I just go in with love, peace, and connection, because it's simple. Then whatever comes up for each individual. And
So
often.
would it be too bold to say that each of the teas had a spirit? Like, I believe that each gong that I play has a spirit, like a personality. All the tea jokes coming out now. But would you say that that's true? Like that obviously the spirit of ayahuasca, for instance, or the spirit of mushrooms. Would you say that each leaf has a spirit as well? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's so many variables within it. So you've got, let's go with like chaud pu'er, for example. Chaud pu'er it's a fermented tea. They say artificially fermented, although it's not artificial. It's just not left to ferment and age on its own. There are past batches of bacteria added, and then it's kept in a temperature-controlled room, and it's kept at a certain humidity. So it's supported and speeded up in its fermentation process. So that within itself generally has like a grounding, earthy effect, downward movement. Shung pu'er, so the same tea, chaud pu'er and shung pu'er. Shung is like the green, the younger, and I'll kind of dive into that a little bit more. But so, for example, say a 2019, like wine, different years, a 2019 shung would perhaps have like a more uplifting, let's go with that for now, like an uplifting movement. So that kind of personality character about itself. Whereas you can have a shung pu'er that's say 20 years old, 30 years old, 50, and the shung pu'er matures at about 70 years old, 70. So the show came about to speed up the fermentation process to reach that similar world of the 70-year-old shung. And yeah, in short, yes, definitely different personalities and characters to these different teas. And I'll wake up and I'll almost certainly instantly know which personality I want to interact with. I love how you said that, actually. It's really nice. Yeah, whether I want to have like a more grounding, or I want to have an uplifting, or whatever it is. And again, like tea was originally medicine. It was like prescribed. So.
Which is amazing, because your expansion of medicine now, you've got your own range of beautiful medicines, haven't you? Herbal remedies and superfoods. So did the tea start the hot ball rolling, and then all of the other beautiful like things that you offer on your website, which is ENRICHDSuperfoods.com, did it start with the tea and then like snowball after that, or was it all kind of coming together organically at the same time? Had you always been into mushrooms, or how did the mushroom thing come about?
So the very good question. So the kind of evolution of the business was chaga mushroom tea with the protein shakes, not together, but the same time kind of coming in. And then as I was able to find different farms and areas to acquire the teas, I brought them in, and then the different mushrooms, because like sourcing is the most important thing with this stuff. Is like 0% tolerance for error in that. So chaga, but the reason I first had chaga is because that was my first mushroom that I drank. Chaga's known for immune support, antiviral, third eye, pineal gland cleaner, third eye opener, very high melanin. There's all these kind of physical things, and there's these internal, like the pineal gland cleaning, like the thousands of years of traditional wisdom passed on and spoken about how it can open this. It's like, awesome, yes. So that was my first mushroom that I drank, and I drank it every day for about 3 years at the beginning. And that's not to say that that's the first mushroom for everybody, not at all. That's just what my body found at that time was chaga. Now I drink reishi, which I'm drinking now with cacao, hot chocolate, almost every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day in some form. And like reishi is known more, again, immune support, but also linking in with the heart. So particularly during this time, whatever we're going through, for me, it makes deep sense to get deeper and deeper into my heart, nourishing and opening and sharing. So, again, within traditional Chinese medicine, that's where the reishi is known for working in that area of the physical body, physical, energetic. It's such a fascinating realm of medicine, of study, of healing. Because I'm not a doctor of Chinese medicine, but I do know that when they speak of a physical thing that we interpret as physical, like the stomach or liver, they're not necessarily speaking about the physical organ, but the energetic connection with that area or that meridian or something like that. And I've had just the most profound experiences of sat with a reishi and felt my heart chakra, my heart area just light up. And I just want to tell you a story about Shopue tea on that. Okay, so one of the things Wuda, one of my tea masters, spoke of and is spoken of in the tea world is we drink tea first for the feeling, second for the taste. That's not to say drink the teas that taste horrendous, although I do remember ayahuasca not being the most pleasant. First for the feeling, secondly for the taste. And if I think of that just on the physical plane of like fitness and health, then I can think of that in terms of fat storage or energy levels. So if I'm thinking in like a longer term of like first for the feeling, secondly for the taste, is like, well, if I want my body to be able to move well and have stable energy levels and have good high energy levels, but stable, not peaks and troughs, then I'm not going to choose a cup of sugar because I'll get a high spike of energy, but that's not the long-term healthy feeling, both in terms of energy levels and in terms of fat storage. And I often speak of that as well because I've been a personal trainer for a while, and I think I mentioned before having quite a lot of excess body weight as a child. I remember that experience, and very grateful for coming through it. So another point within there is tea often speaks to us. There'll be a point when it speaks to whether it's the physical or the soul. And I'd had 2 or 3 days of gastroenteritis, and I was in London, and my system was completely purged. It was horrendously empty. And there used to be a tea shop in Spitalfields Market in London, and I was living in London at the time. And I went in after 3 days of just being in the apartment, trying to, I leave it at that. I got to the tea shop, empty, and I said, look, my system's empty for this reason. What would you recommend? And Christina, the girl there, she said, Shopue, like without question. And I said, well, okay. And I didn't really question it. I think I did for a second in my mind, as I did just then. I was thinking, well, okay, I'll just go with this. And I sat there for about 2 hours, and it was a Thursday or Friday afternoon when I got there. And I drank and I drank and I drank, and different servings, different steepings, maybe like 3 or 4 steepings of each serving of tea. And I remember I was kind of like drained at that point because obviously I hadn't really been eating or drinking. I remember standing up from the tea bar like this, opening up, and I remember thinking, something feels really nice. Something feels really nice in my stomach right now. And I don't know what it is, but it feels really nice. And so I paid my bill and started walking. And every sort of step I took, the feeling seemed to get nicer and nicer in my stomach. And I got to, do you know Spitalfields Market at all in London?
Yeah, lovely.
So I got towards RBS, the bank on the corner outside of Spitalfields. And it was about 5:30, and people were leaving the offices in their suits. And I'm stood there outside the RBS building in that kind of courtyard area, pretty much orgasming in my stomach. Like mini percentages away from orgasm, just stood there from just sitting there drinking tea after my system had been emptied. Wow. And I remember thinking to myself, well, after enjoying the experience, I remember thinking to myself, if there was ever a message about anything, that was the message.
Wow.
So, and that was pre-LA. So that's what.
That is a tantric tea experience, isn't it? And that's like how I would sort of classify your work, you know. Absolutely.
And at that point, I was still very much into, like, focused on the physical plane. I was still focused on training, diet, nutrition, rather than, so this leaf was speaking to me, giving me an awakening of like, hey, there's something else going on, buddy. Are you listening?
And that's so good that you had to be completely empty. Your vessel had to be clean and pure, like purged, so that you could experience that and have that divine connection with the tea, really. Because obviously, you know, we use fasting as a, you know, as a yogic way to connect deeper with source and deeper with the divine. So unfortunately you had gastroenteritis, so it wasn't a like spiritual fast, but in many ways it was the same energy, the same be clean, clear it all out so that you can have this oneness and this magical moment. Wow.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Amazing.
Love it. And so yeah, that was before moving to the States. So that's why when I got there, I was like doing, where's the good tea? Where's the good hashtag tea? It's like there's something going on.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And then the mushrooms kind of came in during more of my, it began in the US for me as I was exposed to lion's mane for brain function and also gut health, reishi for immune support and heart opening, chaga immune support and pineal gland third eye opening. And then it kind of all the pieces of the puzzle seemed to start fitting together. And the more I experienced these teas and these mushrooms, and then also what's also come about within it is and that's why, again, it's so fascinating to hear you describe what your experience of me serving you tea is like, I let go. Like I'm not trying to serve a healing experience. I'm here in the moment giving tea to people, and it just happens. And it's lovely. It's really lovely.
It's a work of art, that just watching you pour and the way you work the bowls, and it really is a beautiful experience. I can't encourage anyone enough to have it. We can't wait to have you back. You're going to come back again, hopefully.
Yes.
And obviously one day in real time, which would be the optimum goal, wouldn't it? Because like you say, having physical souls in front of you. It's the same with the Kundalini yoga. It works online. It can be done, but there's nothing quite like having that energy of all that auras mixing together and being in the space together is there. So
yeah.
With that as a bit of a spring point, how have you managed to navigate lockdown? It's really interesting for me because I've had such a wonderful sort of rebirth, transformation, if you like, of all the things that I had shelved and not had time to do, you know, all the dreams that I had that I wasn't doing because I was busy running here and there and teaching all over the place and not actually moving forwards with the things that my soul was absolutely craving for. So I'm one of the very blessed people in lockdown that's just been brilliant. And I've just like had such shifts and such transformational time. So I wondered has that been the same for you? Because I was feeling like, is it that all the spiritual people that are awake are having a brilliant lockdown and the people that are still sleeping sadly are struggling through lockdown? Or, you know, so it's really interesting for me to see how you've been and what you've been doing and how you've navigated it, really.
Well, I'm very happy to hear your experience was pleasant.
Very pleasant. I've launched my baby, the Elemental Healing Temple. I wrote the manifesto in 2009. So to just bring that out finally and let that spaceship land was just so magnificent. It was such a joy. So yeah, and yeah, my online classes are just brilliant. They've been going so well, you know, and like I travel usually 2 hours minimum to get to my classes to teach my beautiful students, and I've always done it out of a duty and the love of being with them and in the room with them. But yeah, just being shown this new way that I can actually like still reach out and still deliver, but not have to sit on the motorway for 4 hours. It's been amazing. So have you had equally amazing shifts, or has it been?
Yeah, it's been a range. So at the beginning, I was straight into give. So every night for the first, I mean, I don't even know how many months. I don't know like what time's doing right now, but it's having a right party.
Yeah, totally. Which is great.
I know, right? It's this beautiful dissolve. The word that keeps coming up for me lately is dissolving. There's just so much dissolving going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, every night at 9:30 p.m. for months, I delivered a 15 to 30 minute meditation.
Oh,
and yeah, just dived on Instagram. I was like, okay, and this came from a really good friend, Peter Crone, who's an amazing man and soul in the US, and he had this little saying. He's like, okay, I'm good in this area. Who needs help? Not to say I'm good in every area, but I'm good in this area. Who needs help? Like, come and take it. Like, I got this one. I've figured this one out. Who needs some? Come get it. Amazing. And the one thing I've really, through Vipassana, through tea ceremonies, through whatever, through human error and experience, I really, really have a beautiful experience with meditation, with silent meditation. I understand a lot of the physical mechanisms. I understand the movement of the energy. So I was like, okay, this is going to support people in their peace of mind. So I began in that. And the more I gave and the more I did that, like, there's this beautiful cycle of, I was helping people and I'm helping people feel good, feel calm. I'm getting a nourishment out of that because I get to feel good about doing that in the moment. Also, by delivering the meditations, I'm getting this meditative experience. So there was just this whole host of awesomeness in delivering loads of meditative experiences. And then for a little less time, but similar amount of time, for months, I did 12 noon tea ceremonies. So again, it was, all right, 12 noon, I'm here. I'm drinking tea. And if you want to come and sit still and drink tea, I'm going to be in front of this camera. And so, yeah, just really got into giving. That I'm all right here. I get it. I get that it's okay to have chaos in the mind and that it passes. It arises, it passes. It arises, it passes. All of it comes to pass. And that's one of the things of Vipassana. That's one of the physical and emotional experiences that I've had to find this allowing of the waves. So yeah, that was the beginning. And during that time, because everyone was at home looking for immune support, mushroom teas, and also the protein side of things, business went wild too.
Yeah.
So, right, really happy. It was similar to you. Each weekend I was doing 1 to 5 hours on the motorway, like round trip. And I loved the events, like such cool people I've met. But then suddenly I'm like, oh, actually, all of it can happen online. There can be interactions. People are on the website. And I'm looking forward to the event so much again. More so the tea ceremonies, to be giving in that way, rather than always being at markets and that kind of interaction. But there will be more of those too. So yeah, lockdown, such a great word, became, or the whole time really has just been about making sure that the right teas are in, that the stock's right, that the orders are going out well. And then, yeah, just getting into a good time of business, really good time of business, giving, sharing, connecting with people that I could, and reaching out to like friends. What a really, really good friend that we kind of spoke intermittently and never really connected on the level that we had done in these last few months happened. And like, wow, I wasn't expecting to connect so deeply with that guy and have those kind of conversations. Suddenly he was opening up more, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like, this is like just so. And there's been a few different people like that. It surprised me how, yeah, I mean, like shift is a good word. Lots of people are having big shifts, and during a shift there can be a lot of chaos for people. And there's been a few friends reaching out to me saying, hey Rich, you seem to, and again, kind of like Peter always would say, is like, hey, I'm okay in this area, come and take some, like come and get some of this. And I'll come to you for help in that area because I need some help there, whatever it may be. So yeah, overall, like I get it. Like I really get that 2019 was an intense period, and many of us were saying, hey, something needs to change. And when many of us are asking for that, sometimes it doesn't come on a silver plate with a bouquet of flowers. Sometimes it comes as this. So it's, yeah.
I just think it's the most incredible thing that's happened to us all. Really, it's got so many blessings. I actually wrote a poem about it. I don't think you were at the event. I think you were still driving to us, but I'll put it up on the website. It was a poem I wrote a little while back, actually, quite a few months back. But when I reread it, I was like, oh, that's all about now. That's all about lockdown. So it was something that was channeled through that I didn't even know what it was until it was. And then, so I opened the space with it. I opened the festival with it. You know, it's just really just about all of the blessings that we've been given, you know, with this reset time, and just this, you know, to stop and breathe and sit with yourself, you know. So important to sit with ourselves, and now we have no choice but to do that, and you know, look into our loved one's eyes and be in that moment so wholeheartedly, and not be, you know, on the next thing always, you know. So yeah, I'm glad that it served you as well. I really am. So the other thing I wanted to ask as well, who would you say have been the greatest like teachers in your life? Did you have any gurus or teachers or inspirations, or is there anyone in the domain at the moment that inspires you? You know, because I personally feel that we're lacking in really amazing spiritual warriors being seen in the public eye, you know, which is another reason why I'm doing this, because I want to introduce the world to all these incredible beings that I seem to have in my orbit. So who's your favorites at the moment? Have you got any?
Good question. And you know, this is such a great question, and I love my internal response to this, because I've seen people be asked this question and they've kind of like hidden a little bit of who they've been exposed to and who's really served them. Yeah. And there's this little moment inside of like, who should I share? Who should I let you know? I'm just going to say them all as fast as I can. Because we get different influences from all around, right? Whether it's a conversation with my mom and I'm listening to my mom speak and I'm thinking or feeling into what's actually happening in the conversation. And I'm like, okay, that's the 10-year-old boy in me that didn't get the toy. That's what that reaction is. So, or that's the, let's go with that one. Let's stay with that for a second. So I'll say my mom, and she doesn't even know it. She doesn't even know that I've been learning from her, and that dynamic, that conversational exchange, that energetic exchange, helping me understand and reflect on, okay, so she's saying this and I believe this. I feel this way about what she's saying, but I don't feel this way about what she's saying or her. It's the little boy that didn't get the toy. Cool. Okay. So what my job at this moment is to, because I'm aware of what's going on, is help have a loving, connected, beautiful experience in this moment and not fight. Right? And we don't, like, me and my mum, we have really good communication, but I've become very aware of my service to her, and then also the things that I can learn from her as well in those moments. So, and also my sister too. But so to go with like some of the, and okay, another one, just personal friends, like conversations with friends who have never really opened up. And then suddenly I'm realizing, okay, this person's opening up to me. What is it that I wasn't doing that wasn't allowing them to open up before? So like, personal day-to-day interactions of where I can be more open, more inviting to be of greater service there. So teachings from like friendship groups, and then into some of like the people that I will watch videos of and books. So Esther Abraham Hicks. I'm just deeply into that, and I love it. I love everything about it, and I'm so grateful for Esther and Abraham or whatever's going on there. I have no idea, but it's amazing.
It is amazing. I wholeheartedly agree with you there, and it's like it's one of the first, you know, it's one of the flagstone like kind of channelings, isn't it? You know, and it's so every time it's just so good. So yeah, I totally with you there, bro. Yeah, really.
So good. And the thing that I really love about it is like there'll be skeptics, but and I've taken a little moment to kind of deconstruct some of the things that are said, and I'm like, well, even if I deconstruct it into logic, it makes the deepest sense on a logical level as well as an energetic level. One of my favorites that she says is like, if someone's like face down on a pillow with apathy and depression, then it could be tricky for them to go from that to elation, although the whole stick metaphor of like, well, maybe. But I just really love this one, and I share this as often as possible when it feels right. Is if someone's got their face down in apathy and depression, if they get angry, that's a little bit more life. That's a little bit more energy and movement in the physical being, and then the step up from anger might be whatever the next one is, and that's on the ladder upwards to whatever comes after that. Before, I would have thought, well, apathy and face down in a pillow is way better than anger, because, yeah. Anyway, without trying to go too deep down that, but Esther, like, amazing. Bruce Lipton's books. I've been listening to, and I listen. So, Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief. I think I've been through the audio book 150 to 200 times. Wow. And it could be more. It could be like 300. I don't know. I just bought it.
It's an endorsement if ever I heard one, because
right. With Bruce, one of my favorite teachings he does is placebo.
Yeah.
The science behind it, and then the fact that this could be a cup of water, right? And I could just dive into that cup and go, I just love it. I love it so much. Like it just holding this cup of water, I'm so grateful and happy for it. I can just talk myself into this elation about, I could do it about this cable. I just loved cables so much. I'm so happy that we're able to connect, and that they were like one of the first things that connected technology. You can just make up placebo, and I get to feel good in the moment. And as I get to feel good and elated in a moment, that can help recalibrate my nervous system, my brain, and then what that does is it puts me in a better place for service for others. And Bruce was one of the greatest teachers of that for me. I'm so grateful for Bruce Lipton. Just good. Joe Dispenza, His World.
Wicked. I was just going to say, good. I bet you love Joe as well, because he's definitely on my top 3 for sure. Yeah, what a dude.
Yeah, what a dude. What a good man. Just listening to that book, the recent one, Becoming Supernatural.
Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah.
Isn't it? Right? Like, even if I'm not really listening to the content or really tuned into it, there's something going on with that book. I've got a friend, a doctor of Chinese medicine in the States, Philip Ward. We speak about this. It's like, even if we're not paying attention to the book, like listening or reading, flicking through, there's something that's happening with that book that's incredible.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks so.
Yeah, it's just so. I don't know. He's done something there.
Oh, well, I'm really pleased to hear that we love absolutely the same things. I knew we were like kindred spirits, but it's so nice to get to know you a bit better. Can I ask a little bit about the snakes, because I know for a lot of my viewers, and for obviously my mission statement on planet Earth is to really help people liberate from the fear that they're carrying around snakes. So whenever there's anyone that, I mean, for those that don't know, I hold serpent healing ceremonies that basically provide a safe and sacred space for people to overcome their fears and to work with serpents in the transformational energy of Kundalini yoga. And I absolutely, I'm how you are about your cables. I am about people transforming their fear to love, because I always notice that it goes from fear to love. And each individual that has any kind of issues around them, I find fascinating, and I find it like really, really inspiring to try to help them break through their phobias. And obviously, I prefer to do that in the like ceremonial environment, but I have done it in many different environments when I used to perform with my snakes, in the way where I would do my whole act was basically delivering snakes in a really beautiful way, so people could see me kissing them, and they would all be in my hair, and I'd be dancing with them beautifully and elegantly, and just make them an art piece and make people fall in love with them that way. And then obviously it evolved into sitting with people in ceremony and doing it like that. So with you and I, we didn't have the opportunity to have like the moment, but what I noticed is that, you know, you did go through something, in a sense that by the end of spending time together, you had a snake around your neck, and you had stroked Kumi, who is like, you know, 15-foot Burmese python. So I just wanted to ask you a little bit about that, because we didn't get a chance to kind of like deconstruct that to see how that went for you. But I just wanted to check in, like I do with everyone, about when they transform some of that energy, because it's when you transform that energy, in my opinion, you're helping to transform the energy of the planet, and the fear that these guys you know, harboring and holding, like a collective fear that's on the planet. Like every time we have a ceremony where we release that fear and turn it to love, I feel that we're contributing to releasing some of the negative karma that these guys, bless them, are having to carry around. So just wondered if you wanted to share a little bit about that with our people.
You know, it was so 3 or 4 days before I came to your place, I was thinking to myself, I knew that in my mind I was coming, but the fear was coming up of like, it's going to be snakes. And the simple factor is, it's my past fear of snakes that is easing was completely irrational, based on false beliefs, based on I don't know what, there'll be a little note that comes in within that, but so I can completely see that it was completely irrational. So before I came, I was thinking, I was in a state of like anxiousness about there's going to be snakes all around. It's going to be unnerving, but I'm good at getting through that stuff. Like I can observe the fear. Susan Jeffers, feel the fear and do it anyway, right?
Another great book.
Yes. Thank you, Susan. And so yeah, when I got there, I was a little bit again. I was sort of feeling a little bit of apprehension. I said to Rachel, I said, "Oh, there's snakes in the tent," and she said, "Yes, there are snakes in the tent." I was like, "Okay," and I kind of just went into my logical brain. I was like, "Well, logically, it makes sense that there are humans around. You love snakes. These snakes are obviously safe." So I used my logical brain to overpower my my unfounded fear, and I could rationalize. It's like, I've never been bitten by a snake. I've never, no one that I know has been attacked by a snake. Although I've got an interesting snake story for you in a second. So I just kind of use my rational brain to go, I can just logically deal with this. And then as you said to me, I think you said to me, do you want to hold one? My body, my nervous system starts to react a little bit. And then I just say the words, whatever I said, like I think I said no, and then I said yes. And then I held it. And I can feel my physical body a little bit tense. And I was like, okay, that's not really a service to this being that's with me. There's a living being. It deserves my calm vibes, especially because they know, they feel vibration more than anything. So I was like, I'm just going to work on this and let it go. And then, yeah, so it was a little bit of kind of seeing you guys in love with them so much. And one thing that you said, as you said there, is like the undue fear and stigma around this being that people hold, whatever it is, the karma around them, is like, you know what, and I really heard those words, and it's my job to dissolve that prejudice about snakes that I was holding. Didn't even realize I held. Yeah. So, yeah, it was, I think what I did, and I'm open to what you picked up on here, is I think what I did is I used my logical brain to get over my unfounded emotional reaction. Go on. Did you pick anything up there, or?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just going to say, like, I found it really admirable because, you know, just like normally we'd get a session together before, like I'd like insist, like let's like have a one-to-one, me and you, we'll get you to that perfect place so that you don't have to rock here with any kind of like belly butterflies, you know. So, but because you had to go it alone in that sense, because when you arrived, we were sort of mid-gig, you know, and yeah, I just wanted to like commend you, like that how well you did, you know, that you found that part of you that acknowledged that it was you know, unfounded, as you say, and you know, seeing you touching Kumara, the Burmese python, like that was just a magical moment for me, because I just thought, this is great, because I could still feel that there was still some unresolved stuff there, which would be easy to clear if we'd have done the preparation with the meditation, for instance, you know. But the fact that you were, you know, your spiritual warrior spirit was like, no, I'm not gonna allow this to ruin the experience of being in this place. But I think what you said is also really helpful for anyone watching, is that when you see how in love we are with them, myself, the family, you know, that in itself is kind of a dissolver, because it's the same thing happened when I used to do my performance with them. You know, people that were scared, they would watch and they would see the connection, and they would actually watch them moving and see how actually unintimidating and very beautiful they are. And then even that in itself can dissolve it without any words, you know. So because when we do the ceremonies, obviously we're chanting to the snakes, because they feel they're in vibration, they feel the world of vibration. So what I noticed about that as well, I'll do the big talk in the beginning explaining as many of the reasons why people are scared, etc., but actually the experience of it, of being in a sacred place with them, either chanting or silence in meditation, that in itself dissolves, because the hysteria part of the mind is not given permission. Like, so if you were to have people sitting in a circle, then people would be like, oh, well, I'm really scared because of this, you know. Whereas if you take that out of the mix and you say, you just have to look in my eyes and I'll know if I can come to you, you know, and I'll know if you're ready, and then I'll just go gently over, we'll hold the end of the snake together, I'll keep the head, they'll stroke the tail, and then I might go off again and just come, and then come back again and just feed them a little bit more of the energy, and then go off and come back. So it's interesting, like what you said, is that the observation of them, I think, is really potent and powerful when you actually, because that's the thing people are missing, they don't get the opportunity to observe them like we do cats and dogs and other creatures, you know. We only see the negative side of them in the jungle, when they, you know, you step on one and it bites you, for instance. So yeah, I think that's my that's my mission statement, is to make people realize how beautiful and elegant they are. So I just wanted to say thank you for going through that with that, and trusting, and just being so up for coming and being a part of the journey. You know, it's really, really
Thank you for having me. It was such a beautiful day and evening, and yeah,
so
I
starved of
appreciate
human
you
contact
inviting me.
as well, weren't we? We were all starved of human contact as well, because it was the
Yeah,
first sort of lifting of this lockdown. And I think it was just like so much love, wasn't there? So much love in our gang. Yeah, we
yeah.
really enjoyed it. So
Mm.
we just got a couple of minutes left. Gosh, that hour just flew by, didn't it? I knew it would. You're so
It goes so quickly. Yeah.
what I wanted to ask you as a sort of like end sort of question is, what do you feel like? I've just mentioned what my mission statement is, sort of in a nutshell, is to release the karma and the negativity from the fear of the serpents and so on. Have you got like a mission statement that you know, like your gift to the world? What you have you crystallized that, or are you still in that phase of like allowing it to solidify?
Yeah, I'm still in that phase of allowing it. Well said. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what the physical, how it represents itself physically in ceremony, serving ceremony, um, offering the teas and the mushroom powders. Like I get it in that sense. In words, I haven't got it yet. I mean, I'll pull that together. Yeah. So I feel like I'm in a jet stream at the minute. I'm in a jet stream, and the less words I use on what it is and what's happening, then what Jay said early on was like a warrior of light. That kind of seems to make sense in a broad sense, and then within it there are these physical things that I'm sharing and experiencing with people. So yeah, but I'll see if I can pull together a mission statement.
I just find it intriguing. You are definitely a warrior of light. That's absolutely, like, for sure. And yeah, and anyone that's interested, please visit his beautiful website. It's enrichedsuperfoods.com, and he's got so many gorgeous, delicious products up there. And I know you're really, because other people have told me that if people are a bit stuck about what to get and what to use and because for instance, if people don't understand mushrooms or know what it is, then you're quite happy to explain it to people, aren't you? Because I've heard
Yeah, happily.
Customer
Yeah.
care is like number one for
The number one, yeah. One of the best ways is on Instagram, because I can send a voice message back and just express a little bit about it and then hear back from people. So, but yeah, just contact me with whatever way is best for you, and I'm happy to help with anything. So.
Amazing. Oh, well, we're so happy to have you on the temple today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Lovely. Thank you.
So much. And would you like to give just one last little blessing to everyone that's watching? A little bit of a maybe survival tip for lockdown? Like what can anyone do to
I got one. I got a really simple, lovely one. Is when most people drink tea or coffee or hot chocolate or something, and so whenever you're drinking your next warm beverage, I think most people drink warm beverages at some point in the day, just feel the cup. Feel the cup, and if the mind wanders onto anything other than the cup and your beverage, just bring your attention back to the cup or bowl. And that in itself is such a beautiful, simple, grounding, present moment.
Wow.
Yeah, welcome that.
That is amazing. I love that. Oh, I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too. Thank you. Nice one.
Such a pleasure.
See you again soon. And I look forward to experiencing one of the healing sessions that you do. I'm all in. I'm all in. So
fantastic. Yes. Hooray. Yeah, for sure. Next time round then. Hopefully soon. Fingers crossed. But I'm really pleased to hear that you're coming back for the next temple. So I'm really excited to see you again. And blessings to Rach for introducing us and bringing you on board, because you're an absolute asset and just a beautiful crystalline spiritual warrior. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love you. See you soon.
Love you too. See you. Bye.
Bye, darling.